Nancy,
Oh,
there's a lot of confusion going on with regard to SNAP, or what we call food stamps. Governor Moore is saying he's trying to cover that for the state. But as we were talking about before, there's a broader concern that's hitting Talbot County. Could you give us a sense of where we are right now?
So just to use some numbers to give us some context here, when we think about directly SNAP benefits, Talbot County Department of Social Services tells us that per month, they're issuing over $600,000 in benefits just here in Talbot County. That impacts 2,000 households and over 3,700 individuals. So that's from children all the way up to our seniors in our community. And then through the Talbot County Hunger Coalition, through the data that the chair, Catherine Poe, collects, we have a sense that our pantries are touching 3,000 people per week in our community. So when I say our pantries, I'm speaking broadly from everything to care packs, which sends home backpack food on the weekends to kids in need, and up to our pantries where they're giving away bags of food, but also our meal programs. So coming into this current situation, we were already seeing increased need, and probably more need in our community than a lot of our neighbors are aware of.
And Amy, could you give me a sense of what's going on in St. Michael's?
Nancy makes such a great point there that what the current uncertainty around SNAP is certainly escalating the need. However, that need is there anyway. When you consider the fact that it costs one person $42,000 a year to live in Talbot County, and yet, here in the Bay 100, a lot of folks work in the hospitality or tourist industry, and they might be making minimum wage, $15 an hour. That comes out to just over $30,000 a year. So that's why programs like SNAP and our food distribution programs are so important to help people fill those gaps. And so what we're seeing in St. Michael's last Friday, we ran out of our hot meals. We do 3 food programs. We have a food pantry, we do hot congregate meals and hot delivered meals. And we were out of our hot meals in about an hour and 15 minutes, which I've never seen before. Between Friday and yesterday, we had 8 new families enroll in our food program. So we're definitely seeing that increased need. And actually the town commissioners just reached out today, and they are going to purchase for us. They're going to purchase like a blessing box type of thing that we can have right outside our front door of the community center, so that we can have canned goods available to people 24/7 here in St. Michael's.
Andy, what's taking place in your part of the
I'll
world?
just give you 2 sets of statistics. So we're looking at the month of September as our full report out right now. Households back in 2024 September were 87. We've now literally doubled that in 2025 to 174. But my bigger concern is even the number of individuals we serve. 1 year ago in September is 192. That number now is 428. So that number actually increased significantly prior to the conversation even coming up around the SNAP benefit delay in payment and things of that sort. So I'm echoing what Nancy and Amy have both said. This is not a problem that just came up because of the issue with SNAP. Food insecurity in this county is real. We sometimes hide or take comfort behind the prosperity that Talbot County has, and we don't realize that we have more than our share of citizens, our neighbors, that are in poverty or on the cusp of poverty, and every day struggling more and more with that.
Nancy, we were talking about this as well. I mean, how does the community respond when you talk to the agencies that you work with? What do they need the most at this point?
Every day, every week, we have people in this county who craft together through big hearts and hard work a food system to try to fill the gaps. But it is at best a fragmented and imperfect food system. I think all of us here would say if we could really improve the efficiency of the system, that would be great, because it's very hard if you are under-resourced to find extra food. Those resources are there, but they're often efforts that rely on volunteers and have limited hours in some cases, depending on pantry to pantry. So needing to know what those different schedules are just makes it more cumbersome for our community members to navigate. I know both St. Michael's Community Center and Neighborhood Service Center are considering adding evening hours to their pantry schedule, which is exciting and much needed. We live in a very generous community in Talbot County, both in terms of how people give their dollars and their time. But as Andy alluded to, this is like an everyday, ongoing, persistent need. This isn't just a one-time event or a one thing that we can, give a rush of support to and resolve it. This is a complex, ongoing issue where we're seeing both the cost of goods affecting our community members in terms of what they can afford between housing costs, utilities. We had a real winter last year, which was very burdensome for some of our fixed income neighbors, and the rising costs of food. The rising cost of food is also being experienced by our pantries. So Maryland Food Bank is a very important partner in our system, but they may not always have food available or the food that we need. I think in particular, our pantries are really struggling with getting enough protein. So when we think about how we might respond as individual community members or through our faith community or civic organization, I have to say the number one thing the pantries need is financial support. Food drives are great, but our pantries know what food they need. And when they have the funds, they can either go to Maryland Food Bank and have their dollar go further, or they can go to our local markets and purchase literally what they need. Because chances are, if I give to a food drive, I'm probably going to give a can of soup. I'm not going to give proteins. I'm not going to show up with meat, which may be what the pantry really needs this week, or fresh produce.
Amy, you were saying that produce is a real issue in St. Michael's.
Yes. Right now in our pantry, we have a bunch of spaghetti squash and some bananas. So getting fresh produce, especially this time of year, it's incredibly difficult. We so far this year, we've provided more than 30,000 meals for Talbot County residents. And because while we're in St. Michael's, our focus area is the Bay 100, we do serve all Talbot County residents. And yes, the produce is really and it comes in waves, but like I said, this time of year, it's especially difficult for us to be able to provide those fresh things for our neighbors.
And Andy, how do you see this over the next couple of months? Do you think that we're going to be in this situation for some time to come, or do you feel optimistic that the community will respond? And
I am optimistic about the giving in this community. It is amazing and overwhelming. At the same time, this need is not even going to level off from the numbers we've been seeing over the last few months for several months. It's going to continue to grow. So that need is going to continue. The need for donations, monetary in particular, food stock, and volunteer hours is going to continue to grow as well. I'll give you a quick story. So we ran low on macaroni and cheese. So yesterday I was at BJ's Wholesale doing a shopping, and I was buying 100+ boxes of macaroni and cheese. I had 3 or 4 different people remark at just a large quantity of it, and I was checking out, and this lady turned and she said, "Do you run a daycare?" I said, "No, it's a food pantry." She turned around and gave me a $20 bill on top of the macaroni and cheese. So while I'm sitting here telling you how significant and overwhelming the need is, I also want to emphasize the beautiful giving nature of the people in our community. It really caught me off guard and took me a minute. And it's just, that's what I know, that if we are effective in getting our message out, that we will see a reciprocation on the other side by the people who live here. Because the people that are impacted, and we realize this, are our neighbors. They are the people that, other than by the grace of God, could have been us as well.
And I'm really glad you mentioned that also, Andy, because yesterday morning we had hundreds of pounds of canned goods that were brought to the center. We received numerous donations. So it's exactly what you're talking about. It's that real sense of the community coming together to making sure that their neighbors have what they need, especially now coming into the cold months, coming into the holiday season. It's that much more critical than ever that we can meet these needs.
And Nancy, as we close up, is there anything else you would like to have the community know?
Just to give a little more context about the need, what we're talking about with the sudden upheaval around SNAP benefits, we're not even getting to the change in Medicaid benefits that'll be coming next year. So, we're seeing this cascade of things that causes us continuing concern, but also to Andy's point, a real knowing that our community is resilient and has the power to respond. I'd encourage folks to visit for Talbot Family Network. We maintain the Healthy Talbot resource guide, and that includes the feedtalbot.org page. So our list of Talbot County food pantries and feeding programs is included there, including local blessing boxes. So both that's a resource if I need food to look at, but also if I'm looking about where I might lend my time, talent, or support, I can find that list of pantries and decide how I'd like to give my time or resources.
Well, thank you all. I know the community is very indebted to all you're doing, and I'd like to catch up with you next month, and we'll see how things are.
So Dave,